Was Jesus really forsaken? Today, we are going to be looking at the meaning of a verse that I think gets far too little attention, yet provides some amazing insight for all Christians as we celebrate this Holy Week. That verse is this line right here. Jesus says on the cross in Matthew 27:46, my God, why have you forsaken me? What does this mean? Was Jesus really separated from God? And why does this verse, as dark as it may sound, actually give us more of a reason to find hope and joy? That's coming up, so stick around right after this. I've had students ask me before, why do we call it Good Friday? It doesn't really seem to be a lot of good that we celebrate or talk about on that day. The day Jesus was crucified on the cross was a rough one, to put it lightly. And because of the heaviness of this reality of what took place, most Good Friday services tend to treat that day more like a funeral service than a celebration. But I believe when this is done that we miss some of the goodness of Good Friday. I get we want to save the big celebration for Easter Sunday and we don't want to get ahead of ourselves in that moment. But what if we didn't have to go to the resurrection just yet? What if instead we studied the very words Jesus says on that day on the cross when he says, my God, why have you forsaken me? These aren't just random words, though, that he says in the midst of suffering. Jesus is really careful about what he wants to say here. To many theologians that have studied these passages for centuries, they would say that in this moment, this is where we see that the bond between God the Father and God the Son is severed. That God really did and was abandoned or forsaken on the cross in that moment. You see, Jesus knew the Old Testament well enough to correct the religious leaders of his time and help them understand it or bring to light what the passages actually were saying and meant for. That's exactly what he's doing here. This phrase, my God, why have you forsaken me, is actually a phrase found in King David's Psalm. In Psalm 22, it's a song of lament. It's a song that is crying out to God in pain and in the midst of suffering. So again, very fitting to what Jesus is experiencing here on the cross. This psalm speaks about David's enemies claiming victory over him, mocking him, gloating over him in this way. And this is what Jesus is experiencing and seeing as the Romans divide up his belongings, as the religious leaders nod their head and smile as they think that he is getting his just desserts. But then there is a beauty to Psalm 22, an encouragement. I believe Jesus wanted his mother and his followers who had gathered there today as they watched in horror, because this psalm doesn't stick to that same tone all the way through. The psalm takes a turn and calls those who sing this song to remember that God is still good, his promises are true, and that there is real hope to be found. Let's read the ending of this psalm together here. It says this, posterity shall serve him. It shall be told of the Lord to the coming generations. They shall come and proclaim his righteousness to a people yet unborn, that he has done it. What is it exactly that he has done? At the cross, Jesus' final words are, it is finished. This is one of the most powerful scenes, if not the most powerful moments throughout the entire Bible, because here we see not a weak and defeated Jesus. In that moment, we see the King give his final breath, a shout of strength and victory. Yes, Jesus' death was tragic indeed, but it was not a moment of complete loss and tragedy, but a moment of obedient love to the Father. This is why in that moment, the veil was torn from top to bottom, because this was a moment of victory. This is what the psalmist spoke about when it says that we will tell all future generations that he has done it. What Jesus meant on the cross when he says, it is finished. This is the good news. That we don't need to crucify Jesus every year, time and time again. We don't need to sacrifice for every single sin that we ever commit. He did it once and for all. You see, Jesus didn't die on the cross so that we can attend a Good Friday service every year, walking away feeling guilty and ashamed of our sin, and then repeat it again, same time, same place next year. No, Jesus took on the full weight and bore our sin and shame. He paid the penalty so that we could be able to draw back closer to God. That's why when he looked out at all the people there, he didn't curse them or spit back. He didn't yell in anger or frustration at God or at us, but he simply reminded us of Psalm 22. And then he prayed. Can you believe that? With his last few breaths, Jesus prayed for us. And he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. because in that moment, our relationship with God changed. Because now, for those who believed and called on the name of Jesus, their relationship, who was once one with God, full of guilt and shame, was now one that operated fully in the safety and love of a Father. Because the point of Good Friday, in Jesus' words, about being forsaken, is that we now have a means to both share that good news of what was done and actually do something about it. So that's our video for today on Was God Really Forsaken? What is the point or goodness of Good Friday? Let me know in the comments down below, what did you guys think about that? And the question of the day, if you would answer it for me, is, are you going to attend a Good Friday service? Have you attended? Has most of your Good Friday services been sad and kind of like a funeral? But until next time, guys, know that you are valued and loved. I'll see you soon.